Hi everyone, I am Mr. Chandra Prakash, Assistant Professor of Physics, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering College, Dundigal, Hyderabad. Today we are going to discuss about lasers. Before going to discuss about the lasers, first what is laser? We have to know about the types of radiations also. Coming to the laser, a laser is a device that emits light through a process of optical amplification based on stimulated emission of electromagnetic radiation. Laser stands for, means the term laser organized as acronym of light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Coming to the laser, L stands for light. In that, L stands for light. A stands for amplification. S stands for stimulated. E stands for emission. R stands for radiation. So light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Amplify light we are calling as a laser light. So what is the process to amplify the light? Stimulated emission of radiation is the process to get the laser light. Then before going to discuss about the basics in the laser, we have to know about the radiation. What is radiation? Then coming to the radiation, then we all are know about the atom. Atom in the shape of sphere. The center part of the atom we are calling as a nucleus. Center part of the atom is called as nucleus. Electrons are revolving around the nucleus in various orbitals. Then coming to the atom, this is the center part, we are calling as nucleus. And these are the various orbitals like K, L, M, N shells. So this is the K shell, this is the L, and this is the M. Based on the formula 2n square, electrons are occupied in various orbitals. First suppose I am taking K shell. Then what is the K shell? K equals to 1. So I am substituting n equals to 1. So we are getting the electrons in the K shell will be 2 into 1 square, nothing but 2 only. So K shell occupies only 2 electrons. Coming to the L shell. So L is the number 2 second cell. So I am substituting in place of n 2 by substituting the 2 into 2 square, 2 into 2 square nothing but 4 into 2 8. So 8 electrons occupy the L shell. So like in this manner electrons are occupied in various orbitals. So coming to the atom, when we are given external energy, thermal energy, electrical energy, whatever it is, so mechanical energy, whatever it is, when that energy is absorbed by the electron, this electron is excited to the higher energy state. By absorbing the energy, electrons are excited to the higher energy states, is called as stimulated absorption. Then excited electron is not permanent in the excited state. After a particular time is called as lifetime. First suppose this is the excited electron, then this excited electron having particular lifetime in the excited state. It is not permanent in the excited state. It stayed some time in the excited state after called as lifetime. After the lifetime, the electron is de-excited to the lower energy state, means in the same state. While transmit to the while de-excited to the lower energy state, photon is emitted by the electron. Photon is emitted by the electron. So this is called as stimulated emission. So coming to the solid consisting of atoms. Solid consisting of atoms. When the external energy given to the atom or solid, all the atoms are absorbing the energy. By absorbing the energy, electrons are excited to the higher energy states. Then the atom said to be in excited state. Then the atom is said to be in excited state. While coming into the same states, electrons de-excited to the same state, energy is emitted by the atoms, all the atoms. Then so energy is emitted by the atom is called as radiation. Radiation. Coming to the radiation, energy is emitted by the atom is called as radiation. Now coming to the radiation. So types of radiations. Coming to the types of radiations. Types of radiations. We have three types of radiations. One is the stimulated absorption. Stimulated absorption. Second thing is stimulated emission. Third thing is spontaneous emission. Spontaneous emission. These three kinds of radiations we have. Now coming to the types of radiations. So I am taking two energy levels, E1 and E2. First of all, this is the atom, positive nucleus, sorry. This is the atom. I am taking two energy levels for this atom, E1 and E2, E1 and E2. I am taking only 2 electrons per suppose. For example, I am taking 2 electrons in the lower energy state E1. E1 and E2. So I am drawing energy level diagrams. This is E1 and this is E2. Electrons in the lower energy state. When these electrons interacting with the matter, so photon energy absorbed by the atom, when the electron absorbing the photon energy, the electron is excited to the higher energy state. So before absorption, electrons in the ground state, by absorbing the photon energy, by interacting with the photon, electron is excited to the higher energy state is called as stimulated absorption. Stimulated absorption. This is the first type of radiation. Coming to the second type of radiation, spontaneous emission. Here two types of emission process are there. One is spontaneous emission, one more is stimulated emission. Now electron in the excited state. This is not permanent in the excited state. This excited electron is not permanent in the excited state. Then after a lifetime, usually the lifetime of electrons in the excited state said to be 10 power minus 8 seconds. Is depending on the types of energy level, depending on the energy level also. Sometimes it may be 10 power minus 12, sometimes 10 power minus 10. So here I am taking average lifetime of the electron in the excited state is 10 power minus 8 seconds. So after completion of lifetime, the electron automatically de-excited to the ground state energy level. automatically after completion of lifetime, spontaneously the electron is de-excited to the ground state energy level. While de-excited to the ground state energy level, photon is released by the electron. The photon energy will be h nu. So this is spontaneous emission. Spontaneous is emission. One more emission process also is there, that is stimulated emission. So coming to the stimulated emission, same thing, I am taking two energy levels E1 and E2. Electron in the excited state, total atoms said to be in the excited state, then electron also in the excited state. So before completion of lifetime, if the photon energy is given to the electron or with the photon, electron absorbing some energy and de-excited to the ground state energy level. In this process, two photons are released. These two photons in coherent. This is called as stimulated emission. Stimulated emission. What is the difference between these two, spontaneous and stimulated emissions? Spontaneous emission is occurred after completion of lifetime, means the electron is automatically de-excited to the or spontaneously de-excited to the ground state energy level with emitting of photon. So in the stimulating emission process, before completion of lifetime, if the electron is interacted with the matter, or if the photon energy given to the the electron is it de-excited to the ground state energy level, in this process two photons are released by the electron. This is called as stimulated emission. So coming to these two energies, or these two photons are incident on two more electrons in the excited state. So these are stimulated and de-excited to the ground state energy level. Every transition releases two photons. Every transition, two photons are released. So here one photon converting into the 2 and two photons converting into the 4. In this process, energy is stimulated. So this is converting into the laser. So here this is called as radiation. So this emitted radiation in the is called as light. Here light is amplified. What is the process here? Stimulated emission of radiation. So that's why we calling as a laser. L-A-S-E-R, laser. L stands for light, A stands for amplification. Here photon is amplified. So photon in terms of light. So what is the process here? Stimulated emission of radiation. That's why we are calling all first letters we are taken and we call as laser. Again, see the basics. Mechanism of light emission. For atomic system in thermal equilibrium with their surroundings, the emission of light is a result of absorption. First thing is absorption. Already we discussed about the absorption. This first diagram represents before absorption, and after absorption electron said to be in excited state. Then if a photon of energy collides with an atom, nothing but with an electron, then in the ground state. So this is a photon energy. This is called as photon or h nu, photon energy h nu, incident on a atom in the ground state, or electron in the atom excited to the higher energy state. And this first diagram represents before absorption, then second diagram represents after absorption. So makes a transition to excited state E2. This is called as stimulated absorption. Then coming to the spontaneous emission, two types of emission process are there. One is stimulated emission, one more is spontaneous. So coming to the spontaneous, then every excited electron in the excited state is not permanent. Then every excited electron having particular lifetime. Usually the lifetime will be discussed already, is 10 power average lifetime of electron in the excited state is 10 power minus 8 seconds. So an atom initially present in the excited state makes transition voluntarily on its own without any aid of external stimulates or an agency to the ground state and emits a photon of energy. So this is emits the photon energy. So it is in the diagram I am clearly represents the atom after lifetime is spontaneously de-excited to the ground state with emitting of photon. So this is called as spontaneous emission. Then one more emission, stimulated emission. A photon having energy h nu present in the excited state and the atom is stimulated to make a transition to the ground state. Stimulated. By stimulated, the atom is, the electron is, or atom or electron is de-excited to the ground state energy level. The emitted photon is in phase. So here two energies are released. So this is in the first diagram before stimulated emission. So this excited electron observing some energy, photon energy. By observing the photon energy in the second diagram, it is de-excited to the ground state energy level. So while coming to the ground state, two energies are emitted by the electron. So the two energies within the phase. That means they are in coherent. Amplitude or phase are same. This type of emission is known as stimulated emission. And these are the differences. Some differences between the stimulated emission and spontaneous emission. It is a polychromatic in radiation. Spontaneous emission is a polychromatic. So in different colors. Spontaneous emission wavelengths are different. Means energy levels. So it is the de-excitation process occurred in between many energy levels, but stimulated emission is occurred in between the two energy levels. That's why it is in a monochromatic radiation. Means laser light is produced in a monochromatic radiation. So it is a less intensity. The spontaneous emission of radiation is having less intensity, is high intensity. Stimulated emission of radiation having high intensity. So less directionality. These are properties we are discussing in the time of properties. It has less directionality. Spontaneous emission of radiation is having less directionality. So then directionality is high coming to the stimulated emission of radiation. Then in the spontaneous emission, light is not amplified. The stimulated emission, light is very much amplified. So these are some differences between the spontaneous and stimulated emission of radiation. Then coming to the characteristics of lasers. So here coming to the characteristic, we have four types of characteristics. One is high monochromaticity. Second one, high degree of coherence, high directionality, high brightness. These are the four main characteristics of lasers. So coming to the individual character. First one is the monochromaticity. Already we discussed about the monochromaticity. What is monochromaticity? It is produced in a single color or single wavelength. So coming to the high monochromaticity. In laser radiation, all the photons emitted between the discrete energy levels will have same wavelength or same phase also. So in the laser radiation, all the photons emitted between discrete energy levels have same wavelength. As a result, the radiation is monochromatic in nature. As a result, then what is the nature? It is monochromatic due to the stimulated characteristics of laser light. The laser light is more monochromatic than the conventional light. Usually it is compared to the conventional light, it is high monochromaticity. Means it producing in a single wavelength only. Laser radiation, the wavelength spreading is over only 0.001 nanometer. Then later we'll discuss about the spreading of wavelength. So it is clear that laser radiation is highly monochromatic. The first character of the laser light is high monochromaticity. So second thing is high degree of coherence. When the two waves having same wavelength and same phase, then they are said to be in coherence. So coherence is a property of wave being in phase with itself and also with the another wave over a period of time and space or distance are called coherence. So there are two types of coherence. One is the temporal coherence and spatial coherence. Second thing is spatial coherence. So for a laser radiation, all the emitted photons are in phase. The resultant radiation obeys spatial and temporal coherence. Coming to the coherence, see these two photons emitted in the de-excitation process. This is a stimulated emission. In the stimulated emission process, two photons are released by the electron. These two photons, when you observe, these two photons having same wavelength and same phase also, then they are said to be in coherence. Here two types of coherence. One is the temporal coherence and spatial coherence. Coming to the temporal, the predictable correlation of amplitude and phase at one point on the wave train with respect to the another point on the same wave. So coming the temporal, nothing but longitudinal coherence. So in the same wave, we predict amplitude and phase at one point on the wave with respect to the another point on the same wave train. Then the wave said to be in temporal coherence. Here taken I am P1 and P2 at the 2 points, then amplitude and phase are same. I am taken 2 points on the same wave train, then that is called a temporal coherence. Coming to the spatial coherence, so nothing but transversive coherence. Then with respect to the another point on a second wave or third wave, another wave, not second or third, another wave, the predictable correlation of amplitude and phase at one point on the wave train with respect to another point on second wave or another wave, then the waves are said to be in spatial coherence or transversive coherence. I am taken some 2 or 3 waves here. I am taken 2 points, then amplitude and phase are same in all the points, and that is called as spatial coherence. This is one of the important characteristic of laser. So directional of laser is directionality. The light ray coming ordinary light source travels in all directions. When you observe normal light, 100 watt bulb, when you are taken that 100 watt bulb or torch light, it's spreading over the room or over the atmosphere. That's why it having no directionality. It is over the 1 kilometer distance is spreading totally. It's spreading over the half kilometer or 1 kilometer. So for example, the light emitted from the torch light travels 1 kilometer distance, it spreads around 1 kilometer wide also. So that is spreading of light from the ordinary light. But the laser light spreads a few centimeters distance, even it travels lakhs of kilometer distance also. When it is travel lakhs of distance also is spreading over the millimeters or centimeters. That's why nowadays laser light is using and laser light is transmitted from earth to moon also, from earth to moon. Imagine how much it is spreading, but the laser light spreads a few centimeter distance. So these are having high directionality. This is called as directionality. So the directionality of a laser beam is expressed in terms of divergence. So for suppose when you are taking 2 points here, this is the laser light, I am taken 2 points. This is the first point and this is the second point, and the diameters I am taken D1 and D2, and distance, diameters D1 and D2, radius I am taken S2 and S1. So what is the relation of divergence? Arc by radius. So for laser light, divergence is 10 power minus radians, 10 power minus 3 radians only. Since the divergence of light is very low, so we say that laser light having high directionality. One more characteristic of laser is high brightness. So the laser beam is highly bright as compared to the conventional light, because more light is concentrated in a small region. So due to its high brightness, we are using to cut the iron rods also. That much intense we are producing in the laser. So yeah, that is not impossible with the normal light. This much intensity we are producing in the laser, that's why it having high brightness. So it is observed that the intensity of 1 millivolts laser light is 10,000 times brighter than the light from the sun to the Earth's surface. And this is about some property about the some points about the high brightness. So the intensity is proportional to the square of the amplitude. The hence intensity of the resultant laser beam is very high. So this is about the brightness. So coming to the 4 characteristics again. What are the 4 characteristics? High monochromaticity, high degree of coherence, high directionality, high brightness. Monochromaticity nothing but it produces it in a single color or single wavelength. When you observe the laser light, it is having only in single color. That is called as a monochromaticity, single wavelength or single color. So coherence. Coherence nothing but released photons. When they are in within the phase or amplitude, then they are said to be in coherence. So directionality also very high directionality, brightness, high brightness. These are the 4 characteristics of lasers. Coming to the some fundamental definitions regarding the laser transition. One is a population inversion. Coming to the population nothing but the number of atoms or the number of atoms present in a particular energy state is called as a population. Usually according to the Boltzmann distribution law, atoms are distributed in various energy states in proper way. So according to the principle, Boltzmann principle, for suppose E1 is the ground state, E2 is the first excited state, E3 is the second excited state, and so on. So electrons are occupied in this manner only. Always number of electrons presenting in the ground state or atoms presenting in the ground state is always greater than to the E2 and greater than to the E3 and so on. These are usual occupation of population in various energy levels. So when you see usually in a system, the number of atoms present in the ground state E1 is larger than the number of atoms present in the higher energy state. The process of making N2 greater than N1 is called as population. This is usual occupation of population. When the population, for suppose this is N1 is the population in the E1 state, N2 is the population in the E2 state, N3 is the population in E3 state. Is always N1 is greater than N2 and greater than N3. So when we are making N2, number of atoms in the first excited state is greater than to the N3. Less than the N3, or N3 having more number of atoms compared to the N2, or N2 having more number of atoms compared with the lower energy state, nothing but N1 or E1, is called as population inversion. So condition for population inversion, then see, population inversion can be achieved by the number of ways, and means using the pumping source only we achieve the population. These are the various pumping mechanisms: optical pumping, electrical discharge, inelastic collision of atoms, chemical reaction, and direct conversion. For suppose optical pumping, we are using in the ruby laser. Using the optical pumping, nothing but xenon flash lamp is used as a optical pumping in the ruby laser. Using that xenon flash tube or flash lamp, chromium particles are excited from ground state to the higher energy state. By exciting the particles from ground state to the higher energy state, we achieve the population inversion. Now the population inversion nothing but the number of atoms in the excited state is greater than to the lower energy state is called as population inversion. What is the condition for population inversion? Minimum 3 energy levels are present. Minimum how many energy levels are present in a system? Minimum at least 3 energy levels. So I am giving some example also for population inversion. This is the normal population at thermal equilibrium. This is the first diagram represents normal population. When you observe the normal population, N1, and the number of atoms in the ground state E1 is greater than to the E2, and E2 is greater than to the E3. When you observe the second diagram, here N3, the number of atoms presenting in the E3 energy state, nothing but N3 is greater than to the N2. Nothing but population is inverse. This is called as a population inversion. To achieve the population inversion, we need to send the particles or ions from ground state to the higher energy state. How we are sending the particles or ions or electrons from ground state to the higher energy state? Using the pumping mechanisms. And these are the various type of pumping mechanism in different types of lasers. And using the pumping sources, we achieve the population inversion either in between N3 or N2, either in between N2 or N1. For suppose N2 is the metastable state. N2 is the metastable state. Atoms are spending maximum time. Due to the spending of maximum time, here atoms are by de-excitation, atoms are spending maximum time. Due to the spending of maximum time in the N2 state, atoms goes on increasing. At the same time, by using the pumping mechanism, we are sending particles or ions or atoms to the higher energy states N3 or E3. So here atoms are continuously goes on decreasing, here particles are goes on increasing in the E2 energy state. At a particular instant, what we are going to observe, N2 having more number of particles compared to the N1. N2 greater than to the N1. This is called also population inversion only. Population is achieved in between any energy levels, not in between exactly E3 or E2 or E2 or E1. Population inversion is achieved in between the existing energy level. So they using the what are the pumping mechanism? Here optical pumping is one of the pumping mechanisms. Optical pumping, electrical discharge, inelastic collision of atoms, and chemical reaction and direct conversion. These are the various types of pumping mechanisms in different types of lasers. And this two diagram represents the population inversion. You can clearly, without any doubt, you can observe very easily when you compare the two diagrams. First diagram is normal population according to the Boltzmann principle. Atoms are occupied in various energy level in this manner. N1 is always greater than to the N2 and greater than to the N3. Coming to the population inversion nothing but the number of atoms in the excited state is greater than to the lower energy state. In the diagram, N3 is greater than to the N2. That is called as, and in between these two energy levels, we achieve the population inversion. Coming to the another definition, metastable state. To achieve the population inversion, one of the most important thing is metastable state, where in which energy level atoms were spending maximum time. So nothing but lifetime. The minimum lifetime of particles is 10 power minus 3 seconds. This is the maximum time spending in a particular energy level. So where the particles or where the atom are spending maximum time, or in which energy level atoms are spending maximum time, that energy level we are calling as metastable state. In which energy state atoms are spending maximum time or ions are spending maximum time, that state we are calling as a metastable state. So using the metastable state, we achieve the population inversion. To achieve the population inversion, using the pumping mechanisms, metastable state also one of the important factor. So using the metastable state and using the population inversion, we get the population inversion in between the energy levels. This diagram also represents the same thing. So usually atoms are particles are presenting in the ground state. Using the energy of atom, by giving the energy to the atoms, or by giving the pumping mechanism to the particles, atoms are excited to the higher energy states like this. After that, by the non-radiative transition or by the collision with the another particles, they are de-excited to the ground metastable state. What is the nature of metastable state? In the metastable state, particles or atoms are spending maximum time. Due to the spending of maximum time in the metastable state, so atoms are continuously goes on increasing. At the same time, using the pumping mechanism, we are sending atoms to the higher energy state. That's why in the ground state atoms are goes on decreasing. So at a particular instant, what we are going to observe, the number of atoms in the metastable state is greater than to the ground state. So that is called population inversion. That is possible with the metastable state due to spending of maximum time in the metastable state, continuously stayed some time in the metastable state. Due to staying, goes on atoms presenting in the metastable state is goes on increasing. Due to that, number of atoms in the metastable state is greater than to the lower energy state. So we achieve the population inversion. So remember all of you, in the laser transition, metastable state and population inversion is compulsory. Coming to the lasing action. So 3 steps involved in the lasing action. One is the pumping, population inversion and stimulated emission of radiation. These are the 3 steps involved in the lasing action. So coming to the pumping, already we discussed about the pumping. So from the lower energy state to the higher energy state, to send the particles from lower energy state to the higher energy state, we are using pumping mechanism. Different optical pumping. In the ruby laser, we are opting optical pumping. For helium neon laser, we are opting electrical discharge. In a semiconducting laser, it's direct conversion. These are the various types of pumping mechanisms. Already we discussed about that pumping mechanisms. So pumping is nothing but the process of sending atoms from lower energy state to higher energy state is called as pumping. Different pumping mechanisms are adapted in different types of lasers. So coming to the population inversion. Population inversion can be achieved with the presence of metastable state. Already discussed about the metastable state. To achieve the population inversion, in metastable state is one of the important. So population inversion can be achieved with the presence of metastable state. Then coming to the stimulated emission of radiation. Then discussed about the stimulated emission of radiation. These 3 steps are involved. Already we discussed it, but in the laser transition, these 3 steps are involved. First one is pumping, second one is population inversion, and third one is stimulated emission of radiation. This is the diagram represents the lasing action. While de-excitation process, energy is emitted, photon energy. So it is all the rays within the phase. So that's why we can say they're highly monochromatic and highly coherent also. It's a property. Already in the properties we discussed about that laser properties. In the next class we are discussing about the laser systems. What are the basic parts in the laser system, and about the types of lasers also. So in the next today in this class we covered all the topics, basic topics we covered about the lasers. Nothing but radiation process, types of radiation, stimulated emission of radiation, spontaneous emission of radiation, and stimulated absorption. These are the 3 types of radiations. After that we covered characteristics of lasers. What are the characteristics? 4 characteristics: high monochromaticity, high degree of coherence, high directionality, and high brightness. After that we discussed basic definitions involved in the laser transition. One is the population inversion. Nothing but the number of atoms in the excited state is greater than to the lower energy state is called as population inversion. To achieve the population inversion, we required pumping mechanisms. Various types of pumping mechanisms also we discussed, like optical pumping, electrical discharge, inelastic collision of atoms, chemical reaction, and direct conversion. And coming to the metastable state, to achieve the population inversion, metastable state is one of the important factor. That is a metastable state where the atoms spending maximum time, or in which energy level atoms are spending maximum time, is called as metastable state. After that, lasing action. What steps involved in the lasing action are pumping, population inversion, and stimulated emission of radiation. And this diagram shows the lasing action. In the next class we are discussing about the laser system. What are the requirements for the laser system, and types of lasers, and applications of lasers. I hope you understand. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.